What's good, YouTube? It's your main man ABD Hero back again with another video. In today's video, we discussing some information we just heard from the Greensboro Swarm coach that was promising yet alarming, and we're gonna talk about how this may affect your man LiAngelo Ball. Let's go.
AB the hero. Back at it, baby. We getting it down in the Golden State, baby.
First off, appreciate y'all tapping in with the channel and tapping that like button. I know y'all the real MVPs. Now, the Winter Showcase is taking place for the G League in Las Vegas right now, and if you're watching this video, you probably could care less, so we're not going to talk about that. What we will talk about is today's game. Greensboro Swarm will be taking on the Iowa Wolves at 3 p.m. I think we're gonna see some significant play from LiAngelo in today's game. If we go back to the last game that we watched him play in, it played 18 minutes, right? Not much has changed with the roster from that game to this game. I think we saw him play significant minutes in a game that was pretty close, right? So it's not like 18 minutes and they were getting blown out, so they were like, we're just gonna play anybody. Or it wasn't like 18 minutes and, you know, or we're winning, so we're playing everybody type of thing. This was a close game, and I feel like Jello played a critical role in them coming back. Now, that game, the game is today at 3 p.m., so we'll probably tap in with that. Also, on January 2nd, the Greensboro Swarm are coming to play up here in Indiana over in Fort Wayne. So your boy AB the Hero probably gonna pull up to this game. We got to. The only thing that might stop me though is the Pacers, which is here in Indianapolis. They play the Hornets and the Bulls on December 26th, and then on the 29th, and then a few days later. Oh damn! All right. Yeah. So they play on the 29th, and then the 31st, and then a couple days later you got the Greensboro game. So that's 3 games in like the course of a week that I might tap into. So you know what I'm saying, we'll see. The funds of Christmas, all that shit get low, we might just have to watch them games on the internet. Now let's get back to the video at hand. This is what we're here to talk about today. There's an article that came out, I think it was Monday, and this was an interview and some comments from the Greensboro's head coach. What's my man name? Sumpkin or something like that. Yeah. So and so I wanted to talk about this because I feel like this is Camp. That's his name. Camp. So what I wanted to talk about, because this is something that we've been talking about, Coach Jordan Camp. So this is something that we've been talking about throughout the season of like what it seems like the priorities are for this Greensboro Swarm team, okay? And I've said this, it seems like it's not about winning, right? They're 3-9 record. It's not about how do we come out on top, get these W's, we play the best players. No, in this article he basically outlines the fact that like they could care less about winning, right? They're trying to develop players. Now I want to just touch on a couple quotes here, and so we can see this from a couple different points. He starts off by saying, you know, this has been a really productive year and a good one for the team. At this point, this squad is 3-9. So, and by most standards of basketball, when looking at a record and saying, is this good or bad? 3-9 is one of those records that typically means that you're about to lose a job. So they came in, he says, we came into this year knowing that we were going to have a lot of young players who this is their first year playing professional basketball. I think they brought in 4 guys from the draft this year, plus you got LiAngelo, plus a bunch, just a lot of dudes who, yeah, that's their first time. So they expected a bit of a learning curve. This stands out to me because I think that's some of the critique that I've heard about LiAngelo is like, oh man, maybe he's not just not understanding the plays or something like that. And then from here it's saying like, we knew that nobody was going to get it, you feel me? And so we approach the season with the intent to teach people and then bring them up to speed, and then also mimic what was happening on the Charlotte Hornets roster. So a lot of this stuff, I think that what he's saying is that they want to emulate, here it is, or trying to emulate what's happening in Charlotte, which to me in itself is something very hard to do, because if you listen to what the coaches and things are saying in Charlotte, they are playing fast. They playing sporadic. You hear guys talk about LiAngelo and his speed and all of that, and how that's so unique. So if you're trying to emulate something that you're getting from a guy who's rare, one of one, it's going to be pretty hard to do. And oftentimes you're going to fail at that, in the sense of like in a losing record, right? Not necessarily like you failed, like you know what I mean, you didn't accomplish anything, because obviously they feel like they got a lot better. So we say here, each of the Hornets rookies, James Bouknight, Kai Jones, JT Thor, Scotty Lewis, and Artis Cabuto, second year Vernon Carey, all of these guys spent time in the G League. We know that some of these dudes were two-way players, Scotty Lewis, Artis Cabuto, but these other guys were, you know, assignees to the G League. And he goes into, you know what I mean, his thoughts on the guys who were assigned, right? And so, like most folks say, you know, we seen James Bouknight with impeccable timing actually get some minutes in the G League that helped prepare him for when shit hit the fan in Charlotte and he had to get the call up and start playing significant minutes. If he had not have gotten those minutes in the G League, you literally would have been looking at a kid who would have went damn near 20-30 games. I don't know how many games they play at the moment, but 20 games without damn near touching the court, and then being like, all right, now go give us 24. It would have been really tough to do that, but he lived up to the hype and all of that stuff. Now, here's something that I want to point out to you all. If we look at, you know what I mean, this document here, which is, if you've been on this channel at any point, you've seen me talk about this here. You look at the different meanings behind players, and this also alludes to how I think this impacts LiAngelo Ball. So NBA assignees, okay? That's the Bouknights, the Kai Joneses, the Vernon Careys, and other guys who are on the Hornets team. And Nick Richards, he hasn't been assigned to the G League yet. I don't know, this season, I don't think so. But you see those guys, they're on the Hornets team and they're being assigned down there. Not two-way guys, not just affiliate guys, but we play for the Hornets, but we're going to get significant minutes with the Greensboro Swarm. Now, here's how this impacts Jello, and this is why this is important. So NBA teams can assign players with 3 years of service or less an unlimited number of times, and they're taking advantage of this rule each season. So what this means is that throughout this G League season, there's no limit, there's no cap on how many times they can say, yo, Kai Jones, go down to the Greensboro Swarm and get some burn. James Bouknight, go down there and get some burn. Now, there is a cap on the two-way players, right? If you're a two-way player, you can only spend 45 days or with the NBA team before they just got to pay you like NBA money, you feel me? So there's a cap going up, but you know, you can spend the damn whole season in the G League. So why is this important? When we look at a team who is prioritizing the guys who, you know, development of guys who they've drafted and all of this stuff, this says that once the regular season starts, if Bouknight is not like cemented himself in the rotation up in Charlotte, if they get healthy bodies on the floor, we're going to see still a lot of guys going down to Greensboro to get significant minutes. This can impact my man LiAngelo Ball if they haven't deemed him one of those guys yet where, you know what, now you're in the developmental plans, you know what I'm saying? Which, not necessarily now you're in the developmental plans, because I do believe that he's in those plans, but we're going to fast track you, you know what I mean? So we go here, we talk about the confidence that Bouknight got, and basically what he explains is it comes down, let me see, I want to make sure I didn't skip the one part. All right, yeah. So basically saying it comes down to the roster balance and how things are going with Charlotte, right? Depending on who's playing what and all of these things. So I think that this is why we're seeing you'll see Jello play a bit more minutes, because as the Hornets roster is kind of entangled in a bunch of craziness right now, I think that there's more incentive to not burn out certain guys that we may need eventually in the Hornets thing, right? They need some minutes to stay fresh. So go ahead and go down to the Greensboro, but you going down there and playing 40 minutes a night is not what we need at this moment, right? Because you might have to come up and play on with us, you know what I mean, in a day or two. So we don't want to burn you out. We don't want to get you hurt and all of that stuff, which means minutes open up. So that's a positive right there. I think that even in here, one of the biggest things coming down is replicating the same actions, philosophies, and stuff like they do in Charlotte. He kind of talks about book nights, you know what I mean, progress. But one of the things that they cite here, and it makes a lot of sense, is the idea that you have to get a lot of these rookies to understand that going to Greensboro is not a death sentence. It's not a punishment. It's not like, yo, you've been messing up, man, so we send it down there. It's actually, this is a good spot for you because we want you to get some burn so we can actually, you know what I mean, play you, and you get a bit of more understanding. So there's not a super drop off as you're trying to learn the game. I've said this before, right? You look at this Greensboro team, and one of the things that they on is like, yo, you gotta trust the process. Here's an example. Cody Martin, who is hooping at times for this Greensboro team, and for the Hornets this year. Jalen McDaniels, who was hooping for the Hornets this year. All the guys who started their careers pretty much with that Greensboro Swarm team got the call up, and then now they hooping. So you look at a Kai Jones, you look at a Book Night and say, yo, you see these dudes? This could be us, but you playing. You know what I mean? So you get a lot of that stuff. So it seemed like their heads are on straight. Now, here's where it just cuts down to the brass tacks, and they pretty much just say, yo, this is what it's about here. We're not a results-driven team. We're not going to be, explained Sir in camp. I don't want guys staring at the scoreboard throughout the game. We're a process-driven team, and that's something I've harped on and our guys have bought into. So what he's saying is, losing those games by single digits, it's because our guys compete every night. What he's saying to you is that, yo, we're going to lose a lot. We understand that. We're going to play guys who maybe are not the best guys in the G League, but in hopes that, you know, they get the experience and then they get to the next level and then begin to play better. The only thing that scares me about this is there's something to be said for learning how to win. There's something to be said for understanding the nuances of games late and what to do in order to get W's. So if you go into these games with the intent or with the mindset that if we catch an L tonight, it's cool, where do you start to teach people how to win? Because that's critical. On the level where the Hornets play, development is necessary, but at the end of the day, you're judged by the wins in the losses column. You're developing in order to be able to be in position to get W's. If you're not doing that, you're in some shit. So I'm nervous for this team, but I understand, you know what I'm saying, the 76ers they coined the term trust the process and all of that. We see the Borrego with his ties to the San Antonio Spurs and those folks. So we see the process and we understand where that process is coming from. But we also got to be critical and objective and say, we'll wait and see. Shemaine, man, AB the Hero, man, I'm finna get up out of here. Also, if you've watched to this point, you're probably a channel member. If you're a channel member, be on the lookout for a slew of content that will be touching the membership. All of the interviews that I did last week, I dropped those with LeVar. I'm going to do like reaction content to that, right? Where to just give my commentary and thoughts on those different things. I think I got it. I'm going to do a review of the different shoes and stuff on there, and all of that will be coming out, you know what I mean, pretty pretty soon. So if you're a channel member, you watching right now, check the channel on the community tab for some content exclusively for you. It's your main man, AB the Hero.
No, not peace. +1, triple B's. We out.